noticed that it does really help with that search process, because she's motivated at that point. She knows, oh yeah, that's what I'm doing. And then when I get her back out of that car the second time around, she's ready to go.
Yep.
I did not do that yesterday, and I feel like that probably might have hindered it a little bit.
You didn't primer.
I didn't primer, exactly.
You didn't primer.
Exactly.
And the big thing is, I see that whenever people are training their final response, like a down or a sit, they don't make sure it's solid in any environment. They just, oh, it's good at home, but what about out in the middle of
Right.
some busy place?
I had that yesterday. That's, in reality, that's what it is. She's not, I've not done enough repetitions in distracting environments or whatever with different people, etc. I know that, I knew that. It was like, I'm stuck, but anyway.
So right on with that, with the duration, distance, and distraction, that's huge. And those are called the 3 Ds. There's a fourth one, I forget what the fourth, I don't ever, forget what the fourth D is.
Diarrhea? No.
Diarrhea of the mouth. So I use, it was a guy, I was taught by a disaster dog trainer down in Tampa, Florida, who's no longer with us, named Ed Duffy. And we were just sitting around shooting the breeze one day, and he was like, you know, I have this, I've been thinking about this thing, and I want to develop a little bit further. And so we were having a few beers talking about it, and we came up with this thing called concept, context, and complexity. After you develop your training plan of, okay, now I know what I want the dog to do, here are my steps, and you're training those, the first thing you want to do is you want to teach the dog what it is you want it to do. Plain and simple. What is it do I want the dog to do? Is it the sit? You know, as a final response. Great, let's work on the sit. So I'm going to do lots of repetitions using high rate of reinforcement to teach the dog to sit. Okay, great, now the dog is sitting, and it might be in my house or in my front yard, somewhere that it's comfortable with, because we've built all this confidence and all these repetitions here. But is that the only place that this dog needs to learn how to sit? No, so now I'm going to switch contexts and go to a different environment. And I'm going to go back over here, and I'm going to do lots of repetitions over here in this new environment. And then I'm going to go over here to this new environment. So now I've got concept, sit over here, here, here. So now I've got context. And then I'll start adding the complexity with the distractions. I want you to sit no matter what else is going on. All right, and so now I've got sit, and now I could add the next part of the equation. You know, I want that dog running from, if I'm doing the recall refind, you know, I want that dog running from the handler to me, or to the victim, and then sitting. So I might do lots of repetitions, and then I'm going to go, great, now we get to here in this parking lot, let's go to the woods. Now we're doing it 10, 15 times in the woods, great. Now let's go over to an urban scenario. And so I start switching the context, and then I start throwing in distractors. Okay, now that I've got those 3 things taken care of, what's next? What's the next part? What's the next piece of that behavior training plan that I've got? And then you plug that in. And then if you can combine the 3 C's and the 3 D's, you will be able to challenge, and start adding your blanks, you'll be able to challenge any certification to pass it without a problem. Because by then, you'll have a rock solid dog that really understands what it's supposed to do.
And when you're putting these disparate, or these little different sections together, that is when it's the best time to put the last one in, and then add the one before that. Because all of these things you've learned separately, but now I want to add those things together. Always have the last thing, and then the one before that, okay? Train that, train that, train that. Then I bring in the other one that I've trained, that I've already trained. So what happens is, this whole thing becomes a single cue. Because before that, you had 4 cues, correct? Mm-hmm. But you don't have to go through it and cue the dog for each thing. Ultimately, you want, I put my shabrack, or put my jacket on my dog, and I go, find it. That's the only cue I need to give. It knows all the other steps. Okay? So that's where that back chaining is so powerful. The back chaining will solidify everything that you've done. And what makes this so good as well is that if I see I'm having an issue on this point, okay, I can go separate on my training and work on this again. Get it up to speed, and if necessary, cue the dog here for that behavior and continue, and then put it together again.
I call that computer technology. I can take apart that computer and take out any component and replace it with another one. Or I can take out any piece and fix it and put it back into the computer and it will work solidly. So it's plug and play technology. And
Well,
how
you
many
can
of you
upgrade,
guys-
correct?
What's that?
You can upgrade.
Yeah, you can. You can fix the
Put a
behavior,
different
you can put
behavior.
better behavior if you want.
You suddenly want a different behavior, you can put that in there.
So let me ask you this, how many of you guys actually have a written out training plan for your dogs, for your training?
Doesn't this count as one?
Nope.
No.
I mean, a written out training plan from start to finish, from what your cue is gonna be to what the dog's final response is gonna be. How many of you guys have a written out training plan?
I started after my last thing with you, but never got it finished.
Okay, so if you don't have a training plan, how are you gonna know what you're gonna back chain? Because these are your steps in your training plan. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. You're training step 4 first, but if you don't have any of these training plans predefined, what are you batching? So you're going out to training with these false hopes that you're gonna make any progress today, because you're gonna show up and say, what are you working on? Okay, great, I'll try that one, we'll see how it goes. Or, hey, have you thought about doing this? And somebody else, hey, have you thought about doing this? Yeah, I'm gonna try that, then I'm gonna try that, then I'm gonna try this. Instead of walking in and saying, I'm on step 5 today, this is where I need to be. This is what I need from you today. You guys need to take charge of your own training. Because you really want to be an advocate for your dogs.
And if this stage is 10 steps, double those steps. Because we see the big picture and don't have to have the information in between. Okay, we fill the blanks. Okay, but a dog doesn't, an animal doesn't necessarily do that. And I cannot say to the dog, okay, do this, and then expect that it's going to get that. If I haven't shown it all those little points. My expectation is too big to expect the dog to go from here to there. I can see it, I know what I want, but if I don't give it enough information to go from there to there, don't expect the dog to give you the behavior you want. You're not going to get it. You're going to get something else because the dog is like, hey, I wonder what he wants. Okay? The first thing you're doing is you're rewarding for that first step. And until the dog gives you 8 out of 10 repetitions for that step, you're not going to the next step. You go to the next step, 8 out of 10 repetitions. You're at that next step and you're going through because now you've actually chained something again. You've got a chain going there. But the second step, suddenly the dog's not doing it. It's not doing the 8 out of 10. Guess what? You're stepping back. You're stepping back to that step before until I get the 8 out of 10 repetitions. And then I can go forward. Is that, I'm not talking crap.
No, you're absolutely right. So having that training plan, he's saying whatever that step that you're on, get to 80%. Set it up, do it 10 times in a row. If the dog gets the 8 out